Hi, and welcome to another episode of Let's Talk. I am, of course, your host, Noed. And in this episode, let's talk about the power of intercession. Stay tuned. I don't think we truly understand the power behind genuinely praying for somebody. And in Christian circles and church culture, it is so easy to tell people that we're going to pray for them. Like they'll come and tell us, yeah, I lost my job, lost a loved one, or I'm going through this X, Y, and Z challenge in my life. And we will wrap up that conversation, wrap up that interaction with a pretty bow by saying, I'm going to keep you in my prayers, or my thoughts and prayers are with you. Most of the time, people don't really do it. People don't really pray for you. They really don't. And a lot of times we will, in our desperation, we will reach out to somebody or tell people, hey, keep me in your prayers. Da, 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 da. We preface us venting. We preface us telling somebody what we're going through with that. But do we genuinely understand the magnitude and the power of said prayer, the power of interceding for somebody, the power of having faith for somebody else? I don't think we do. And there are great intercessors in the Bible. I do think about Abraham, though. When God had made up his mind to execute judgment over Sodom and Gomorrah, Abraham, although he was kind of beating around the bush, he almost began to do this negotiation with the Lord. Hey, Lord, if there were 50 righteous people, would you still destroy the city? I'm sure to some degree he was interceding for Sodom and Gomorrah, but deep down he was interceding for his nephew Lot. And God knew that. God knew that because he knows our every fiber. He knows the deepest thoughts. He knows our intention. And there's this wrestling with the Lord, this intercession of sorts. And God made sure to send angels to go and get Lot. And let me tell you, he was a hard-headed individual. Very, very hard-headed, to the point where it says he had to be grabbed by his hand and taken out of Sodom and Gomorrah because he wasn't listening. Lot was meant to, like, he was going to die in Sodom and Gomorrah. But God, in his mercy and his goodness, made sure that he was delivered, made sure he was brought to safety because of Abraham's prayer, because of Abraham pleading. And then you know how many times God spared the people of Israel? Because Moses pleaded for them, because Moses prayed for them. And there was even one time they upset God so bad. God's like, get out the way. No, I'm paraphrasing, like, get out the way. I'm going to destroy them. And by the way, I'm just going to start over with your descendants. I'm just going to start over with you. This is what's going to happen. And Moses interceded. Moses prayed. And I'm sure there are people that God has put in our hearts, in our lives, to pray. In every season, there's always somebody that God places in my heart. Now, am I naturally an intercessor? Yes. I realize that that's something that God has bestowed upon me. I'm an intercessor. I just am. But we all ought to pray for somebody else. We all have somebody that God places in our hearts for a reason. Those 3 a.m. wake-up calls where you just woke up, you just wake up and there's no rhyme or reason, and there's a whisper in your spirit, that's the time to pray. And I know we tend to wake up all crusty-eyed, muscles ache, back hurting, all the things. And okay, you may not get up physically from the bed. You may not do this whole ranting and pacing around your house, praying for said person. But even if it's in the whisper of that hour, hey, Lord, I'm praying for so-and-so. He hears that. And that prayer avails much, okay? And if you do not know how to pray for the person that God has placed in your heart, try this. And actually, this works for any prayer. Like, hey, Holy Spirit, I don't know how to pray for this person right now. I don't know how to pray for this right now. Will you give me the words to pray in accordance to the will of the Father? I tend to do this a lot when I'm trying to pray something and it's like the words aren't coming out right, or like I'm praying and it just doesn't feel like I'm praying right. I'll say it. Hey, Holy Spirit, will you give me the words to pray in accordance to the will of the Father? And all of a sudden, out of my own mouth, I'll start flowing in prayer, being so precise about the things that I'm praying in such a way that it just flows. And I'm like, this is not me. This is clearly the Holy Spirit. Things that I didn't even consider praying about, said person or said situation. And it never ceases to amaze me. Some of the stuff I'm like, okay, ooh, that was definitely the Holy Spirit praying through me, because I see it happening this way. And I tell the Lord all the time, listen, Lord, I don't understand how any of this stuff work. I don't understand how fasting works. I don't understand how praying for somebody else works. I just know it works. So here I am interceding for X, Y, and Z. And you just keep doing it. Your faith is not always for you. And if you're concerned that no one's praying for you, because God really does want to hear what's in your heart. Hey, Lord, this is bothering me. This is upsetting me. But you can't always just pray about yourself either. But I have asked the Lord before in seasons where I'm just nonstop interceding for somebody else. And I asked him one time, I was like, Lord, is there anybody praying for me and praying for my children? In seasons where I've had moments where I've caught myself interceding and praying fervently for somebody else way more than I would be covering my children in prayer. And in that season, it's like, well, I don't, of course, I want to pray for my children, but if that's not what's in my heart in that moment, I don't want to be insincere in prayer. And I've asked the Lord, one time I was like, is anybody else praying for me? Is anybody else praying for my children as you put this burden in my heart to pray for X, Y, and Z person? Within days, I had walked into the church and I remember this person coming up to me saying hello, the typical greetings. And he said, hey, I've been praying for your kids. I'm like, okay, Lord. You do pray for you do have somebody else praying for my kids. As you intercede, all that to say is that as you intercede for somebody else and you follow that inkling of the Holy Spirit and that you feel that burden and you answer to that burden, just know that God's got you covered. He'll have somebody else to pray for you. And I think, we're all siblings. We're siblings. And I think of like, if one child is praying for something, there are times where I may be like, okay, I got you. I'm going to take care of this for you. But if their sibling comes and pleads for them, fervently so, oh, you best believe I'm going to pay a little closer attention. Like, what's going on? Let me stop what I'm doing. Why is this urgent? Why? It's just, it pushes me to give it an extra degree of attention. And like I said, I may not know how intercession works. I may not understand it. You may not understand it. We may not fully get the power of praying for somebody else, but I'm telling you, it works. It absolutely works. So even it seems crazy and it's a burden in your heart, proceed accordingly and do the praying. But that's it. Until next time.